Now, somehow the idea of killing, everything in the water doesn't make it sound all that safe to me. And I think of antibiotics, for example, which have killed off a number of bacterial problems over the years, but it's well acknowledged that throughout the scientific and medical community that these antibiotics have created superbugs. So you kind of wonder, how safe it is. Now,
well, it's when you mix them.
But I want to make it clear that, you're not putting any kind of hit or saying anything negative about the water companies themselves. They are required to put the chlorine in, and surely they don't want to send you water that is full of bacterial content. But there are other things in the water as well. Officials in Philadelphia said testing there discovered 56 pharmaceuticals or byproducts in treated drinking water, including medicines for pain, infection, high cholesterol, asthma, epilepsy, mental illness, and heart problems. 63 pharmaceuticals or byproducts were found in the city's watershed, which serves 850,000 people in northern New Jersey, and found a metabolized angina medicine and the mood-stabilizing carbamazepine in drinking water. A sex hormone was detected in San Francisco's drinking water. The drinking water for Washington, D.C. and surrounding areas tested positive for 6 pharmaceuticals. 3 medications, including an antibiotic, were found in drinking water supplied to Tucson, Arizona. This problem is everywhere.
The real problem is that people must understand that these contaminants in the water, when they are mixed with other contaminants, they create terrible, terrible things. What happens when you mix your own drugs that the doctor has given you? You have to watch what drug that you're taking with another drug. But when you have them all mixed in the water, and you're standing in the shower, and then they're mixed with the trihalomethanes and the DBPs and the VOCs, what kind of contamination is that doing to your body?
Well, that's a good question, and it brings up the concept of the shower. A lot of people think of water or, probable concerns with the water as being drinking water, but are you suggesting that the shower is an equal or possibly even greater threat?
In the same home, the shower water compared to the faucet is 50 times worse than your tap water. In other words, you get 50 times more contaminants from your bath and shower than you do drinking from the faucet in the same house, just because of the temperature. The other toxic chemicals that are in the water, they're vaporized at relatively low temperature. That's why they'll tell you, even when you are cooking, do not take the water out of the hot side. And when you boil water in your house, it evaporates, and everybody in the home gets it. But when you're in the shower, it's not much different than a toxic gas chamber. Chloroform was used in World War I and World War II to kill people. We took it and used it as a anesthetic to put people to sleep early in medicine, and we took it out and we quit using it because we found that it did cause cancer. So you're standing in your shower and you're breathing it. You judge for yourself what it's doing to you.
I want you to respond to this statement made by the Associated Press. Even users of bottled water and home filtration systems don't necessarily avoid exposure. Bottlers, some of which repackage tap water, do not typically treat or test for pharmaceuticals, according to the industry's main trade group. The same goes for makers of home filtration systems. So let me ask you, are all home filtration systems the same?
No.
And what does the Genesis UltraMAX do, or does it do anything that might address this problem?
Definitely does. It has 13 different stages, and it was designed copying the natural hydrological cycle of the Earth. And we had to go beyond that because of the new man-made chemicals and things that are getting in the water like pharmaceuticals. So we have to use enhanced carbons. Carbons that are more powerful, that absorb more, that will absorb both VOCs, DBPs, chloramines, trihalomethanes. This is things that you have definitely got to get out of your bath or shower, because almost every contaminant in the water causes some type of health problem.
Now, with the pharmaceuticals, the study indicated that they get into the water a couple of ways, mainly. One is through natural excretion of the pharmaceuticals from the body. I mean, you take them, they got to go somewhere. They go into the wastewater system. But also, many people flush the contents of their expired pharmaceuticals down the toilet.
Sure.
And that puts it in the same water system.
Especially if it's a septic tank or something, you got the leach lines. It's just going to soak down through the and get into the aquifer.
Where do all these other chemicals, other than the chlorine, come from?
From everything that you buy at the department stores that you put on your lawns. You got to figure all the fertilizers, all the termite stuff, all the bug sprays that you put on your lawn. You got the mosquito trucks that go around. You've got the waste from the factories that are injected into the aquifers. The earth is no different than any other filter, and we're producing too many contaminants that are going through, and it's just too much getting through. And it's getting into the aquifers. That's why when I watch the deal on television about WSRE, they're swimming in the aquifers underneath the ground, and they're showing things like tires and cans of antifreeze that are underneath the ground in the deep aquifers. So if that stuff can get in there, the stuff that run off from your golf courses, all the poisons that they put on the golf courses and fertilizers, and you do on your lawns and everything else in the airs and the factories and leach lines of septic tanks and everything else, that's all going to land up in the aquifers. That's why no one system, no one type of a filter will take them out. That's why you have to have different stages. And that's why I was talking about the UltraMAX earlier, because it will backflush and clean itself. The earth can't. That's the problem.
And it has these several different stages you were talking about as well.
Oh, sure. You got different types of carbons, garnets, rock, zinc, coppers.
Different filters for different contaminants.
Right.
Now, the EPA pointed out, I found this rather shocking, that there are no sewage treatment systems specifically engineered to remove pharmaceuticals.
No, sir, not specifically at all. And this is the problem. There's too much stuff left in the water after it goes through those plants, and that's why we have such a problem in the shower, because they're vaporized at relatively low temperatures.
The AP pointed out that human waste isn't the only source of contamination, nor pharmaceuticals coming from the cabinet in the home or through the excretion process. Cattle, for example, are given ear implants that provide a slow release of trenbolone, an anabolic steroid used by some bodybuilders, which causes cattle to bulk up. But not all the trenbolone circulating in a steer is metabolized. A German study, for example, showed that 10% of the steroid passed right through the animals. Water sampled downstream of a Nebraska feedlot had steroid levels 4 times as high as the water taken upstream. Male fathead minnows living in that downstream area had low testosterone levels and small heads. If it will affect the fish, it makes you kind of wonder, what effect it could have on people.
Well, look at the studies that have done. There's tapes on 60 Minutes and stuff like that where they did studies on frogs in the state of Florida. Look at that. They got extra legs. They're deformed. Well, frogs are very close to us when it comes to those being infected by the contaminants in the water. And the thing about the pharmaceuticals in the water, what really worries me, I know what the different pharmaceuticals will do to you. I know what the different chlorine and the trihalomethanes and the DPs will do to you. But what happens when you take the pharmaceuticals and you mix them with those? Those studies aren't even there yet. And what are we going to find out years down the road? Things that people must understand is children are dying at a faster rate than adults because they absorb these much faster than adults do. They are getting adult diseases. You have to look into this. You have to be inquisitive. You must protect your family, because that is the only way that you can be insured in the future, that once they run all of these tests and they find out, whoa, look what this causes when it mixes with this, your child don't have that problem.
In some ways, this is like a hurricane that comes from a long way off, and you see it on radar, but you don't heed the warning. Children not only are affected more by it, but they're affected over a longer period of time, and the problem is increasing. It's becoming a worse problem, and so they are the most likely to be victimized by it in the long run.